Nate, you saw, I mean, you see live music all the time, but you saw Jack Johnson, and who was Jack Johnson with?
Ben Harper opened.
And that was the inspiration for what's going to be the main segment tonight. So what happened? Like, and how were you enlightened at this show?
I'm going to give full context.
Oh, it could be
full context.
All right, guys, come back in 10 minutes.
Come back in 10 minutes. And yeah, could get a little hobby on the side. But, you know, with recent revelations, I guess Biden's going to be pardoning any like marijuana offenders over the last, decade or so. So I said, okay, cool. I'll take a weed gummy. So I took a weed gummy and I watched Jack Johnson and Ben Harper just kill it. And, I was there for their original material, songs from the last, 20 or 30 years or whatever. They have so many songs to choose from. But out of nowhere, both artists, Jack Johnson and Ben Harper, sprung some covers on me. And I was like, this is fucking rad. Ben Harper played Foxy Lady by Jimi Hendrix and just killed it. He's got that voice and he has that soul, so I wasn't surprised, but it was a lap guitar. It wasn't even like a full-on guitar. So he's sitting and doing it, but nailing it. And Jack Johnson, they both played multiple covers, but Jack Johnson played the song Breathe, Into the Air, in parentheses, by Pink Floyd. One of my favorite songs of all time. And it got me thinking, maybe it was the weed gummy, I don't know. And I was thinking, wow, this is fucking rad. Because these are bands that I like in different spectrums of the music world. And they really don't need to do covers because they have such a catalog. But it made me think, man, these are just unexpected covers, like out of nowhere. And they just killed it. And my buddy that I was with, Jeff, he's like, for them to really nail it like that, they actually had to practice it quite a bit. So that means they're not only rehearsing their own material, they're kind of like freestyling a little bit and playing covers off the cuff, even though they've been rehearsed, and just really, really nailing it on the head. So the segment tonight is unexpected covers. They needed a little bit of an edge because there's good covers and everyone knows the classics and covers that kind of stand the test of time. But there's a lot of random covers out there, ones that you may not even know of. And over the years, for our nerd appreciation, we've kind of discovered different covers, that a lot of people might not even know of, that we've kind of come across our desk. So that's how it came about. Full context. And I think that was 10 minutes.
Yep. Stopwatch. Boom. Yep. There you go.
I love that you said didn't know they exist, because the ones that I picked for tonight that I'm going to chat with you guys about, I knew, but in doing research to like figure out which ones I wanted to land on, I came across a shitload of covers that I never knew existed. Some are bad. Some are like, all right, there's probably a reason I never heard that, but some are pretty good. I won't give those away. You'll have to go look, do your own research.
Yeah, I've got a couple that are fun. I'm not sure how I feel about them. I wish I'd seen them live. That's for sure. And especially one of them, but I think I sent it to you guys a while ago. I won't get too deep into it just a second, but it's a cool idea, Nate. And we're not just going to give you best covers. Like, we did a cover episode way back in the 60s called We've Got You Covered, which was like grab a band and have them cover a song that they hadn't covered before. Yeah. So that was kind of fun. We're trying to do it a little different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like that. Unexpected, unique. And if they're good too, that's a bonus, right? So, Nate, I think you thought of this. You're going to kick us off, right?
Okay. Yeah, definitely. So this show, or that show, I saw Jack Johnson and Ben Harper inspired kind of, this segment. But it actually started.
No, it was drugs, man. It was drugs.
And it might have been the drugs.
Queens of the Stone Age, Nate. Okay, I'm seeing a theme here.
It made me think about, what other times did I see cover in concert just completely out of nowhere? Like, oh, wow, I didn't think this was coming. And this was back on October 16th of 2013. So I just moved to California. I was in NorCal, I was working in the wine industry. And, there's still shows up there. You got to scour for them. But Chris Cornell is playing a theater in Napa. So it's kind of an excuse to like, hey, let's go have a date night in Napa. Sweet. Go see Chris Cornell as well. Just, side note, we'll get dinner, but we got the show too.
Real quick, I would love to be on the receiving end of that. Nate's asking me, hey, you want to go see Chris Cornell, sweetie?
Well, it's Napa.
No,
so it's
date night.
Yeah, it's always presented as, hey, it's Napa.
No, it's date night.
But there's actually something else going on too.
Want to go up to L.A.?
Yeah, you're already living up there too, right?
Yeah, we're already up there, already relatively
Babe, it's
close.
Napa. Yeah, we live here. I know, but it's Chris Cornell and Napa. Like shit, there's gonna be good wine.
No, I was in Sonoma.
Oh,
so
sorry. Yeah.
So we actually had to commute there. Yeah. Trust me, all parties are satisfied. It's like, oh, Chris Cornell and Napa.
Okay. Satisfied party.
Hang on. Go get Steph. We gotta ask her.
Hold on. Let me ask.
Oh yeah, she's
wait.
shaking her head. Yes. Okay.
She hates grunge music. Oh shit.
Oh, she married the wrong guy.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go in here for a little bit, and then we'll get dessert. Anyways, so wow, tangent. So Chris Cornell played October 16th, 2013 at this small little theater in Napa. A great show. So acoustic. So he's not with Soundgarden. He's not doing Audio Slave stuff. He's just doing like a solo acoustic tour, which is so cool. I don't know if you've seen those kind of runs, but stripped down in a theater, especially, you kind of get, the full gamut on acoustics and everything too. But he played a cover of the song One by U2. He starts, playing the instrumental to One by U2, one of my favorite songs of all time. But then he jumps in with the lyrics, and it's the lyrics of one from the song One by Metallica. And my brain is just in this fucking pretzel. Like,
that's
whoa,
where I thought you were going. One by Metallica.
what is going on here? And he just nailed it. But the whole time, it's almost like I can't pay attention to the song because it's like, I want to hear Bono's lyrics, but I'm hearing James Hetfield's lyrics. But it just shows the guy's versatility and talent to be able to pull that off, let alone execute it live. Because I would just get lost because he's playing the guitar to the to the YouTube version, so I would just get lost personally. But he must have just practiced that for 12 hours on end to get it right. But that was my first one, just because I just couldn't believe what I was seeing, and it was also Chris Cornell in my mind, like at the peak of his vocal ability back then.
So, question for you: do you think that is him fucking with the audience? Do you think that's a flex, or do you think he just enjoys like that mix?
Yeah, so this was the Songbook tour, back then, 2013 era. I think he also did one in 2011, but either way, it's basically him playing songs from Audio Slave and Soundgarden, and also some covers, clearly, right? So he would tell stories to kind of layer in context, recording the song, really good, like actual real nerdery stuff. Like, I was in the studio recording with Audio Slave, I was in the studio with Soundgarden in this one, and just kind of paint the picture. So for this one, it was just some trippy story of like, I really like, One by U2, but I really like the song One by Metallica. So I thought I would just combine the two. So I think it was him just challenging himself. I think at this point, like, he was still so on point vocally and, writing wise, that he just was just throwing himself for a challenge. So I don't think it was really to throw the audience for a loop as much as really challenging himself, because he's already like the best in the game. So I think that's what it was.
Right on.
Yeah, no, I'm jealous that you get to see him on that tour. I remember the record coming out and listening to it a ton. I also remember I was in Philadelphia, I want to say Baltimore, 2016. He played across the street from where we were having dinner, and I was like, I really want to go, but I didn't ask the wife because we were at a conference. I should have done what Nate did and just been like, yeah, but we're on vacation. We weren't really on vacation, but let's go see Chris Cornell. She'd have been like, yeah, date night. She'd have been like, fuck you.
For the record, we got a great dinner in Napa before. It was a true date night. It was actually, I think, a bonus. I would be bumped.
So, yeah, you got to meet halfway. If you're gonna,
yeah,
I don't know if you're dragging her to it, but if she's not into it, or even half as much as you got to meet halfway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, God forbid you saw like the modern day Robert Plant. Sorry.
Excuse me for dragging your ass to the show.
I know, he's only a legend. Don't ruin this for me, babe.
It's like, can you do the date night with Slipknot though? It's like they're like literally are Metallica.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, where's the cusp? Yeah, that's too far.
Yeah, I don't think I can pull that off.
I've done the, hey, you want to go see Stories So Far? Yeah. And then Terror opens and she's like, This is why you want to.
All right. Yeah, that's a good one, Nate. It's funny. I was looking for ones today, and obviously, the tried and true kind of genre bending ones come to mind, like Johnny Cash doing Hurt. He has done so many, and he's done U2's one, which is really cool. He's also done one that he's done Tom Petty. He's got a bunch of different records out from, the mid 90s on that are a bunch of, covers from all over music. He covered a Soundgarden song, Rusty Cage. You guys heard that cover?
Wow. No.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. Yeah, I've heard it.
It's an awesome cover. And like Johnny's done in the past with other musicians' music, he's kind of taken it in and made it his own. This song is, I don't know that it's better than the Soundgarden version. I don't think that it is, but it's so fucking cool to hear it differently and to hear it coming out of Johnny's mouth versus Cornell's, because the voices couldn't be different. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a different vibe. It's a feel compared to kind of the sludgy, grungy Soundgarden version to just Johnny and a guitar, and feels like you're in the middle of a desert type deal. So I don't know. It's a cool cover. It's unique. I wish I had gotten to see Johnny before he passed. And it's funny, way back on episode 2, we did Tour Time Machine. I can't remember if I did Johnny Cash or not, but I had him as one of mine. We never came back to that segment, but
Oh, wow.
he was one. The Folsom Prison era would have been a Tour Time Machine I would love to have gone back to. So Johnny's always kind of had a special place for me as far as that goes. I don't listen to him a ton, but he is so fucking talented. When I do, I'm like, man, I should listen to him more.
And I feel like that's a true musician's nod, that he's covering someone younger than him in a song that's come out. I mean, you'd have to fact check his whole career, but in the later half of his career, that doesn't always happen. You're typically covering maybe classics or bands that have been around a while. So that's like if you're Soundgarden, that's a heck of a cosign.
That's a really good point. Really good call, because usually covers traditionally are like a sign of appreciation from, hey, this is where I am because of things like this. It's almost like you're covering it as like a thank you.
Yeah.
But to have Johnny Cash, cover a song like Soundgarden, I know I've read multiple articles with Trent Reznor just being floored by Johnny Cash's cover of Hurt, just because it's like it really takes it out of his possession completely, and just it's almost not recognizable. And if you're not a fan of that music, you're like, wait, what is Nine Inch Nails? If you're a Johnny Cash fan from back in the day, you're like, what is this shit? But you don't think of it that way. You just think of, wow, this is a really well-written, interesting song, both Rusty Cage and Hurt alike. But until you would look at the liner notes and be like, oh, this is a Nine Inch Nails song or a Soundgarden song, you're like, okay, this is interesting. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of those, that's an example that can reignite career. Not that Nine Inch Nails needed it, or Soundgarden needed it, but it's that type of thing.
All right, Twan, what do you got?
All right, let's keep this train rolling. So I picked one that he's a front man of a band that we all love. I actually don't think a lot of people know that he has a solo career, or like that he performs solo. This is a cover, obviously, from an album he did called Thoughts That Float on a Different Blood.
Ooh, Dustin Kensrue.
Dustin Kensrue of Thrice.
Nice.
Yep. In this album, so it's a live album that's just covers. And I think there was like a sequel to it that had like a Record Store Day release attached to it. But go check that track listing for this album. There's a bunch of good stuff. The one I'm picking, Wrecking Ball, Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This, I think the original song is a pop classic. I think it's undeniable. Massive chorus. She can sing. Her team and her put together a great pop song. This cover, though, it kind of flips the arrangement around on its head, and it just feels more pure. And he's got that raspy voice. It's really heartfelt, and he just gets into it. So, near the end of the song, it's like, I never meant to start a war. Just wanted you to let me in. When he gets into that, you're like, this motherfucker's in his bag. And it straight up gives you chills. So have you guys heard this one?
Oh, of course. I own it on vinyl. I have a flat that came with it. I pre-ordered it and everything because I'm a fucking massive Thrice fan for a long time now. And when I saw that this was happening, there's a Counting Crows cover on there. There's a bunch of cool stuff on that record. Go check that out if you haven't. Great pull. And he definitely does change it and do it justice, but also make it his own. And that's kind of fun when covers are done that way.
Yeah, I haven't heard this song, but I remember Did this drop in 2007-ish?
Oh no, this is like a couple years ago. Yeah,
five,
okay.
6 years ago.
Because he toured, or at least he did some dates solo. And I remember living in New York City, and he played a venue called the Knitting Factory.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And
that's when Pistol was out. Pistol was the big song back then for him.
Yeah, and I think I had a friend that went to the show. He said it was amazing, and I'm like, obviously, it's Dustin, you know. But I've never heard this song, and it's cool that he selected this song. It really just shows, and that's why this segment's so interesting. It just shows that like it's not genre specific. So he must have saw something in that song where he's like, I want to do that song, you know, against all odds, against all label pressure. Fuck it, I'm gonna do that song. So there's something that clicked.
Or public perception too, like, you know what I mean? It's a pop song. It's, you know, it's Miley Cyrus, whatever. So there's that piece of it.
Well, and he has such an awesome, distinctive voice too.
Yeah.
And it's not, I mean, if you listen to early Thrice, it's heavy. There's more screaming probably than there was towards the back half. And listening to just his solo stuff, and he did do, I think he's got 2 or 3 solo records out that are also really good. Coming Home, something like that. I gotta look it up. But this one is cool, and there's a bunch of covers on here that are awesome. He covers Creep, Radiohead's Creep, covers a brand new song, obviously covers Wrecking Ball, covers Round Here, Counting Crows. It's a cool record. It's haunting. He's haunting. His voice is haunting on this record, and it's awesome.
It's that's a great way to put it. And I noticed something listening today that only the nerds would pick up. So this is a live recording. And what's interesting is you only hear the crowd during like the beginning and during the end, which tells me that they obviously had to tell the audience, please be quiet while he's singing, because you'd be able to hear the crowd singing Wrecking Ball. I mean, that's a sing along for the ages.
Mm-hmm.
But I listened to that when I revisited earlier today. I'm like, I bet that was part of they knew they were going to use this for a live thing, for a pressing or for an album, that type of thing. So they kept it quiet, because I know I'd be belting it out.
Oh God, yeah, and like, it's just so fucking cool. This record, this is why I love doing this, because I had forgotten about this record, even though I own it. It's sitting in 30 feet from me right now, and I need to revisit it because it's just that cool.
Yeah, so you're thinking like, because I've seen Letterman back when he was going back in New York. So like an applause sign or like a please be quiet sign. You're thinking something like that had happened before he jumped into it.
Yeah, maybe. I'm putting my conspiracy bag on. I just you can't hear the crowd at all, and I feel like the crowd would have been so loud that it would be tough to drown them out in the cleanup. You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah, it'd be worth investigating, because
so listen to the song, Nate. To listen to it and be like, you know what? He's onto something.
Fast forward to May of 2023. Nate's like, guys, I checked out that Dustin Kensrue song. That's really cool.
So when we're at the Blink show next year, he's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I did check it out.
Fact checking, 4 records. First one was Please Come Home, which was the one with Pistol that Nate, you probably saw in 07. You probably saw he was at the Knitting Factory for in New York.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious about the sign thing. Either that or everyone is just so captivated that they were like enjoying the moment. But even that Chris Cornell album, like people started cheering like in the live recording. So I guess they dropped a Chris Cornell songbook tour album. But anyways, I digress.
I thought we were talking about Dustin Kensrue. What just happened?
or I'm putting my conspiracy hat on. Or this is actually a studio version that they just piped in a crowd for at the front.
At the beginning, at the end. Yeah.
So anyway, regardless, if it's live, if it's recorded, it's amazing. It really shows his range. And it does remind me of, and actually I'm thinking out loud here, it reminds me of the To Be Everywhere is to Be Nowhere era of Dustin's vocals. They're very honest and gritty and raspy, and there's a style to them.
Well, and that's when they came back after their hiatus, right? So it's a different feel for the band then, and they've been that way since. I would say the last record's probably a little different than To Be Everywhere is to Be Nowhere and Palms, but yeah, it fits that vibe for sure.
Yeah.
And there was a single, I think it was Record Store Day, that had Hide and Seek, which I think is an Imogen Heap song, and Sigh No More, which is a Mumford & Sons song, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Worth checking out. Got me all fired up, Twan. I'm excited. That wasn't even mine.
It's so good. I played it for my wife, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I do like this." I'm like, "Of course you do. It's great."
Date night.
Date night.
Date night. Let's go. Knitting Factory.
and go to a regular thrice show.
I have taken my wife to a thrice show. she wasn't really into it. Not gonna lie. It was their farewell show in Boston on the farewell tour. Jeez, what year was that?
2011.
Yeah, something
Wasn't
like that. I
that
have a
like-
T-shirt
yeah.
somewhere. And Animals as Leaders open too. Like, it just wasn't for her. I loved it. It wasn't for her.
It's not for me. It ain't my bag.
Yeah.
It's
Not my bag, baby.
not-
That was my terrible Austin Powers. All right, let's go. Nate, you're up. Is that we're up to Nate's next one here? I think
Yep, I think I'm up. Just made me think. We're all happily married, but maybe the next generation of
for now.
Tinder is like Nerdster or something, like, you know. it
Ooh,
won't-
shit! Don't give people ideas. That's ours now.
That's ours. Nerdster.
Meet
You
up
like
at the
Slayer?
show.
I like Slayer. They're broken up. Let's hang out. Anyways,
We did knock on that Slayer door back for Tattoo the Earth.
nada.
It's still closed, guys. We tried.
Oh, we saw someone
Yeah.
peeking through the.
Oh, they were peeking through.
blinds.
They were like, "Man, you guys are paying attention to us a little bit. All right, let's see what's going on here." Now we're fully off the rails. All right, Nate, what do you got?
So second, unexpected cover. This is like ultra throwback. This is the cool thing about these segments. Is like you start to like really jog your memory. So this is like rewinding back to the year 2000, or even maybe
All
90.
the way back to the future.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been making my wife watch old Conan shit, so this is funny.
Oh, year 2000 Conan stuff is the best.
So good, even until like 05 when they were doing it.
Oh, with the flashlight? Yeah, oh my god. But yeah, so the year 2000, I was a heavy Napster user. I think all three of us were.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. No, well, I mean, I think I've said it on air. I was banned. I was banned by Lars, so I mean, I'm a little bitter, so I almost say it in vengeance. But regardless, I downloaded everything by every artist, and I remember just like being so stoked as a nerd, like finding songs that weren't on the record by said artist and being like, "What is this shit? God, this is fucking rad!" And it happened a lot. And I don't know if they were like, sometimes there were B-sides, maybe they were supposed to make the record. In a lot of cases, they were on actual, pressed releases that I just didn't know about for whatever reason. A lot of cases I didn't have cable or didn't see movies that they were on soundtracks. So this band, System of a Down, Pod, somewhat house band for the most part. We're big fans. So back then they only had an album. They hadn't even dropped Toxicity yet, and I was downloading just everything. And I remember these two songs, I'm going to name two, came out, and I was just like, these are fucking sick. But I didn't know who actually originally wrote them. So one was Metro by John Crawford.
Berlin, isn't it?
Berlin? Yeah.
I think the song is, but the band is Berlin. Yeah,
Berlin.
I'm pretty sure.
And written by John Crawford. Dropped in 1981 originally, and then they re-recorded it for the Dracula 2000 soundtrack. So to kind of revert to what I was saying, I never saw that movie. I had no intention to go see the movie, but I heard this cover of Metro. I'm like, this is such a beautiful song and executed, just perfectly. And I actually thought it was like an original song by them until I kind of did my homework. And I'm like, oh, this is a cover song. Okay.
I didn't know it was a cover until 5 seconds ago.
Oh, wow.
The original was Berlin. In 1981 was it was on a record called Pleasure Victim.
Yep. Oh, wow. I had it pulled up.
Oh no, I knew it was
It's a
Berlin,
questionable
but
title.
I looked it up. Yeah, right.
So I kind of paired them just because it was like the same kind of era. So I figured I would just kind of patch them together. It was that and Snowblind by Black Sabbath. Also on my like System of a Down list of songs and just like some random songs that I somehow scoured. And Snowblind was, I guess, on the Ozzy Osbourne 2002 soundtrack. I didn't have cable, so I wasn't watching the Osbournes, and I didn't know that they were playing that song, but I looked at like old set lists, and I guess they used to play the song on Ozfest back in like 98, 99, and they had originally, recorded it professionally for the Osbourne soundtrack 02. But I remember thinking also then, like, I loved Black Sabbath. I even had a CD back in middle school, but I didn't know this song, and I remember being like, this is fucking a dope song. So people can knock Napster, especially the musicians like Lars that blocked me, but like I discovered so much music because of that, and also because of the said covers. So yeah, System of a Down, two for one on this one.
Well, it's funny that in that 99, 2000, 2001 timeframe, we're using the internet for Napster, but like I don't remember. I would have never thought to Google System of a Down. I wouldn't even use Google then. It was like Metacrawler or Lycos. You know what I mean?
Alta Vista.
Lycos.
Alta Vista.
Jesus Christ.
And you'd get to someone's GeoCities site. You know what I mean?
When you said System of a Down, I thought for sure you were going to say the Legend of Zelda theme.
Oh, yeah.
Which is also an amazing cover.
We don't know if that's System of a Down because it was always titled as System of a Down, but there's controversy. Is that really System of a Down?
I mean, listen to it. That's not Surge.
I think it is. August Burns Red does a recent cover of it.
It's definitely
which is great
Surge.
too. I don't know if it's recorded, but they do it live.
Well, Surge is jumping on, so we'll ask him.
Yeah, we've got Surge next week.
The founder of the drink Surge will be on the creator who put together the recipe for
Surge and Orbits. Not the travel website, the drink.
The drink with the little gel circles, yeah.
Man, Surge, do they have that when we were young? They must. When we were Young Fest. Oh boy, we were off the rails again, guys. Sorry. But yeah, that's a great call. And yeah, the Metro was Not Another Teen Movie soundtrack in '01, and I don't know the other cover. I need to listen to that. But
Snowblind,
yeah,
dude,
I gotta check that
so
out.
Good.
I haven't heard that version. Nope.
Oh man,
talk about a band that can make anything sound like theirs.
Oh yeah, it's theirs. They're gonna, and you'll know it from the get go.
All right, guys, I got one for you, and I sent it to you via Twitter probably a couple months ago now. But Linkin Park covering Deftones' "My Own Summer" live, and it's just there's a reason. The reason why I gravitate back to this song is because it seems, by all accounts, especially the people that we've talked to, whether it be Jonah of Far or Head PE Chad from Head PE, Linkin Park seemed to understand what came before them was important. And
yeah, great call.
I would say this is one of those situations where they were paying homage to, but also fucking destroyed an awesome Deftones song. Like, they just made it sound so damn good, because Chester's vocals on it are next level, because he was a next level vocalist. So there's a bunch of different covers of it, videos of it live. It's something I wish I could have seen happen, but man, just a badass song for them to pick to cover, because it allowed Chester to do his thing over that chorus, which is so fucking heavy and just badass.
Do you know what year they did that? Because it was a huge stage. Like, that was obviously post Hybrid Theory. And so at that point, they had leapfrogged Deftones in, fan base or whatever.
Definitely.
So it echoes exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like, this band, I'm guessing, Deftones put us on. Now we're going to put them on.
It's early 2000s, because it's around after Hybrid Theory dropping. Because in reading up on this, they had not trouble, but they were trying to find songs to fill out their set list. So like, they would talk to each other about what song should we cover. And when you have 5 or 6 people, and we talked about this with Greg last week, and we talked about it with us, like, when you have more than one person, you need 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people trying to figure out what are we gonna do, guys. That becomes difficult. Like, Mr. Hahn wanted to do like the Wiggles, like, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "I think it was the Wiggles." Yeah, he wanted to cover the Wiggles, and they're like, "We're being serious," and he's like, "No, I am. Like, let's do that. I'll fuck that music up all day, like, with my DJ stuff." We can't cover that. No one's gonna understand what the fuck that is. So they ended up doing "My Own Summer" and a few other covers, but that's one that continues to stick out to me, just because of the conversations we've had on this podcast. Just talking to Jonah about, and one of the coolest moments we've ever had here, talking about Chester, and Nate reading something in Kerrang! Magazine about Chester being like, "Man, I like this band Far. I like listening to them. It's really cool to check them out," or One Line Drawing stuff, and having that kind of move Jonah, and us having a moment of silence for Chester on the podcast. Like, that doesn't happen elsewhere. That's a Podcast Slave thing, because we pay attention to that shit. So that's why this one popped up for me.
Yeah, I think Chester, now that you mention it, is the only musician of that stature that really went above and beyond to really give it, mainstream thank you. Like, not behind the scenes, like, dude, you're an inspiration. Love you guys. All right, I'm gonna go slay with my own band. Like, actually doing it. And I know Deftones and Linkin Park toured in the early 2000s, like 2000, 2001 era. And I think Linkin Park was opening for Deftones on the White Pony tour cycle, and eventually it flipped, you know? So that might have been like a respect thing. Like, and Chester just seems to be doing that time and time again. And it reminded me of when he replaced Scott Weiland in Stone Temple Pilots. Same thing. It was like not a knock on Scott. It was like Chester, from what I read, is like, no, well, Scott Weiland is my favorite singer and songwriter of all time. Like, I guess he's not able to do the part, so I'm going to do it. But really, as of like out of respect, not out of like I'm better than you, which is very. So it seems like time and time again, Chester's the one that's like making that very apparent. It's not like, look at me. It's like, actually, no, these are the people that have got me to where I am today.
Yep.
And I think it permeated throughout the band, like, because they didn't Linkin Park have. I know they had a label. Was it Machine Shop?
I don't know.
I'd have to fact check that. But like, they signed fucking No Warning, a hardcore band from Canada who ended up sounding a lot like Linkin Park after they signed. Still a great record, but like that's them, and you gotta respect that. And the fact that Chester had the chops too to like back it is amazing.
You're right. It is Machine Shop.
Machine Shop, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So they put their money where their mouth was, even when like literal money, like that costs money to run a label, you know, for smaller bands like this. So for like No Warning.
And Shinoda's produced a little bit, and yeah, it's the cover itself doesn't like blow you away, the fact that they did it, because they kind of lived in similar worlds. They came up around the same time. I mean, were at their kind of financial commercial peak around the same time, but the reasoning is why I picked it. The especially, you know, with people that have shed light on them at that time and how, you know, deferential they were to what came before them, and what, you know, this is more of a paying homage to this song, and we can also crush it.
Right. Exactly. Great pick. Yeah, I remember watching that when you sent it, because I'd never seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
All right, is it me?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, as always, I'll tease this. So, do you guys remember like the early days of YouTube when like you knew, like everyone in the world knew all the big videos, like the Charlie Bit My Finger and like all of them, everyone knew all the big ones. Do you guys remember there was a guy that did a cover of Hey Ya by Outkast in a singer-songwriter from a coffee shop?
No.
Oh, dude, I think I do.
And he fucking crushes it. I'm not gonna say it's better than the original, but he, for being a completely different genre, flipping the arrangement on its head, he crushes it. It's this guy, Obadiah Parker. I didn't know that name until I looked it up today or yesterday, whenever it was. And because I remember like thinking when I saw this, I probably saw it in the late 2000s, but it was recorded in 2006. This guy, Obadiah Parker, he covers Hey Ya in a coffee shop, and it goes viral, completely viral. It's basically all stripped down, singer-songwriter type. But yeah, it was always like in the top page of YouTube. And I looked it up yesterday or today, and there's a studio recorded version on Spotify, which I actually don't like as much. I like the more raw one, but go look it up. Obadiah Parker, Hey Ya cover. And Tone, you probably heard it.
This sounds familiar to me. I need to obviously
Just
revisit.
like big burly guy with a beard, like just a beautiful voice, and he can sing, like sing. And I think he probably got big because of it, because he's got 200,000 monthly Spotify listeners.
Wow.
And this cover, the recorded cover, has 38 million streams.
Really?
So it resonated with a lot of
And
people.
if it's this video, it looks to have over 9 million views on
It's
YouTube.
that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. I'm definitely checking that out. That's some nerd homework right there.
He crushes it, man. And like for me to pick that out of any cover on the planet, like,
Yeah.
not that my word means
I know.
anything.
Come on, guys. Anthony is a tastemaker.
I'm a tastemaker. You hear it first. Dun dun dun. Sorry, Nate. Go ahead.
No, it also shows that, you know, how many people are on YouTube and we've talked about it, well, mainly through our like group text, like sending these phenomenal covers of ordinary man or woman, like playing songs. I think, Tony, you sent one, Orestes by A Perfect Circle by this guy that plays piano. And it was like you said, Twan, like not better than the original, but like equivalent, like almost like parallel in terms of like, God damn, I would pay to see this guy. And he's just playing in his living room, you know? So it really shows that music touches people in such a way, and to really like hone in and like make it your own, or just cover it so beautifully that like it really draws more attention to like, this song is amazing. And when it's coming from someone covering it in a coffee shop and so masterful, you're like, it actually makes that art even more profound. Like, okay, that song is better than I actually originally thought it was, because now I'm seeing it in a third person
I'm so
point of
glad
view.
you said that, Nate. I was literally thinking that today. I'm like, this song, it kind of gets, the original Hayek almost got lost in its popularity.
Mm-hmm.
But when someone else does it and you're like, you think of it in verse, chorus, and the harmony or whatever, you're like, this song is on another planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when it can get rearranged like that and still hold weight and still, be showcased in a different light, but also be like, this song's amazing. I didn't realize how amazing this song was now that I've heard it in a different way. That's what stands the test of time for some of those things. So really cool.
Not from this guy, but there's another acoustic-y cover of Lil Jon's "Oh Skeet Skeet" from the window to the wall. That's actually really good.
Oh man, yeah, that's great.
Don't knock it till you hear it covered.
That sounds like a compilation. And Lost in its popularity sounds like a band name.
Right.
Like an emo band name.
Yeah. We're too good that we're not big. We're not good at all.
Right. Yeah. All right, am I up?
I think it's Nate.
I have so many contenders, but I'm going to go in order in the list that I wrote. So this is a band that we've seen a ton, and they've always been an opener, and I think you guys saw them recently, and they've always been great. And I just felt like they've always kind of been on the cusp of like real recognition. And if people haven't heard this cover, this is like the band's potential to the stratosphere, and it's Nonpoint, "In the Air Tonight."
I knew you were gonna pick that.
I kept trying to like avoid it, and I had other picks, and I listened to it like 3 times today. I'm like, this song is like, they fucking nailed it. Like, Elias's fucking execution of Phil Collins on this song is 10 out of 10. I mean, if I was Phil Collins, I'd be like similar to the Johnny Cash, Chris Cornell, or Trent Reznor thing, be like, wow. I mean, I'm proud, because this is so good, and the production, everything. And given it was on the Miami Vice soundtrack, so the production dollars being spent to really make this what it was is clearly there. But it wouldn't be otherwise, Not that they couldn't execute it as a band, but it needed that layering to make it full production. Dropped in 2004, and it's just so friggin' good. And I tried to, like I said earlier, I tried to deny it, not to knock Nonpoint or like not give them credit, but I had other picks that were like, a little bit more something that I was going to steer towards, but I just couldn't avoid it. And so I think that Nonpoint, "In the Air Tonight," they really knocked it out of the park, and this song just shows that every band, small, big, medium, large, like, they have the potential to really, to pull it off. And this is a point in case. This
song, it's crazy that it's almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
For that movie, the remake, or the movie that was a remake of the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
To have you got to cover that song too, right? Because I think that was used. And you're right, they're so damn good. They were fucking awesome when they opened for Seven Dust in Portland a couple weeks back when Anthony and I went and saw them. And when I saw them last year headline down at Wally's in New Hampshire, they are so fucking tight still. Like, just been seeing them for 20 years and never disappointed. So I'm not shocked that they were able to pull off something like this, but it gets lost sometimes that they're that good.
As soon as, Nate, you said they're always an opener, I knew that's where you're going. Actually, I wasn't sure if you're going to pull this one, or I know they did "When Doves Cry" pretty recently, though.
Oh, yeah.
So they're not shy of the covers, which let's not get lost on that it takes balls to do this, because there's typically polarizing opinions to covers. Either they suck or they're good.
Are you saying that they're low thread count, hard with the covers?
Yes, I am. And I think they do go hard with "In the Air Tonight." Phil would be proud. Do you think Phil has heard it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think they have to. I don't know. I mean, we should ask the band, but I feel like they have to get permission, right? At the end of the day, like,
Oh, they totally
We need
do.
to get
Yeah.
Though it's publishing, it's there. People that handle all the licensing and stuff. Like it's not Phil going.
No,
That's
it's
true.
whoever
Maybe it
owns the
is.
rights. But I mean, I would imagine with a song like that, he probably had to give the okay.
Yeah, like I think Phil Collins he's at least CC'd on the email. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, and he's had numerous songs covered. I mean, Land of Confusion by Disturbed, which is actually a really good cover.
Really
I'm
good as well. Yep.
not a huge Disturbed fan, and I told my wife that I would maybe mention The Sound of Silence, which they cover, which is also amazing. It's not one of mine.
Good. Mm-hmm.
But David Draymond's voice is great, and that cover is great. They pull the cover game off too. I'm not going to get into Disturbed a ton right now, but that's another story for another day. But yeah, when you're a musician like Phil Collins who can put out these songs again that can get this kind of harder rock tinge and still work, you've done something right as a musician.
Yeah, the most interesting point of the whole Nonpoint cover is it's 04. We know Nonpoint, cold from their inception, really their debut to present. And I wonder, like, was there multiple artists covering this song? Like, was there like a lineup of like 7 bands, like, hey, cover the song, you might make the soundtrack, and whoever has the best cut makes the soundtrack? Because I don't feel like Nonpoint was top of mind for like major studio production in Hollywood. Or maybe they were. Maybe they had a friend in the industry, or maybe they just happened to be in the scene. I don't know, but I know from us as like being kind of realistic, like Nonpoint, it's hard to think that they were like top of mind in Hollywood for like a major silver screen film. But I don't really know of any other band that could execute this cover this well in that format, because it's clearly like a hard rock version of this song. So maybe a few other bands, but like it's not the first band that comes to mind. Let's put it that way.
I think we're the only ones that would have any type of thought about this.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I love what we do. Like,
Yeah.
we want to know the answers to questions that no one else is even asking or cares about.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. All right, am I up?
Yep.
You are up. We are coming
Down the home stretch. Yeah, okay, so this one I couldn't find a lot of information on, but I have it. I had it as an MP3 years ago. I don't even know how I got it. Don't come find me, slug. But it's an Atmosphere song, and they're covering another artist from their home state of Minnesota. That's my hint to you guys. This artist has since passed on, widely considered one of the greatest musicians of all time. Any guesses?
It's Prince.
Yep, it's Prince.
Purple Rain. No,
it's it's not Darling Nikki, but it's Darling Nikki,
okay.
Which has been covered by the Foo Fighters and other people as well. But Darling Nikki, but it's called Darling Lucy. And if you're at all familiar with Atmosphere, Lucy Ford, Fuck You Lucy, it's a thing throughout early Atmosphere especially. But he, Slug, and Ant obviously pay tribute to somebody from their home state, which is kind of cool. They do their own kind of hip-hop twist on Darling Nikki, but call it Darling Lucy, which is their thing. Lucy Ford is like Lucifer. It's Slug's way of saying, like, I'm in the artist world. I'm up late all night. I don't sleep. I drink. I'm smoking, I'm doing stupid shit, and I'm fighting, and it's women, it's the whole 9 yards that go along with, being a celebrity, even if it's on a small scale, and trying to come to terms with the bad things that go around that. And that's Darling Lucy, and he's trying to stay away from her, kind of like Darling Nikki in the actual song. So really cool. I'm not sure how or where this came from, if they were even allowed to do it. It's different enough, but it's the same beat, so I'm sure they had to pay some sort of royalty on it. But their own statesman, Minnesota's own Prince, who's also probably one of the top 5 musician of all time as far as songwriters go.
What year was this cover?
Oof, I don't know. Early to mid 2000s.
So Prince was still alive. So do you think Prince heard this?
Maybe.
He was BCC'd.
Yeah. Now he I think Phil Collins heard the Nonpoint one because of the movie. Like, it was out there. Like, you couldn't miss it. It was part of the commercials and stuff.
Point.
This one, I don't know. I don't even know how I fucking found it.
Yeah, that's a good question. Was it Napster? I mean, Napster wasn't even around in 05.
No, it was probably...
Kazaa was.
Yeah, it was probably... Or BitTorrent. I was probably doing... I mean, allegedly downloading some stuff through, the Pirate Bay or places like that where I could find some stuff that wasn't necessarily on CD. that people had ripped to their computer and put it out to the world. So I'm sure I found it that way, middle 2000s, 06, 07, somewhere in there.
And it was a true recording. It wasn't like a live rendition.
Nope. True.
So they did record it. So
I'm surprised you haven't heard it, Nate.
Yeah, I haven't heard that. But if they recorded it, it's not a live version. That means that like somewhere, like you're saying, it's on a CDR and on Slug's shelf. Like, oh, we were gonna put that as a secret track or something. We decided not to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it ever made it to a proper release. I own most of them. I'm sure it was on a mixtape somewhere. He had a couple of them that were out there around this time that, maybe it hit one of those. It also could have been one of those songs that, like, they didn't make any money on. They just made and put out. It was like, we're not trying to make money on this. This is our homage to Prince.
Yeah, they're one of the few bands that used to do that. True recording, because the whole Pirate Bay or Napster, whatever you want to call it, peer-to-peer, is like, I didn't know, like, some of the songs I mentioned earlier were on soundtracks or, like, TV show soundtracks, whatever. And so sometimes, like, this song might have been, like, a B-side on, like, an EP, like, or a European import where, like, you'll see, like, a cover song is on that rendition of that album. But you have to be in, like, UK to get it. And then obviously it makes it to digital format for MP3 sharing. Otherwise, you would have no idea. You're like, where the fuck did this come from?
Yeah, I got to dig more, but I couldn't find anything in my initial search, and I just knew I had it. I was like, this is kind of a funky one that I'm not sure a lot of people even know exist.
Yeah.
Did they change lyrics at all?
Oh, yeah. Yep. But it's the same type of, and the music is a little different, but it's the spirit of Darling Nikki.
Yeah, but Lucy, so they avoid what?
Yeah, but the song sounds the same, so like they're still having to pay it if they were to make any money on it. But my guess is they probably just floated it out to the early-ish internet and was like, "Hey, have fun, guys."
And let's phone a friend. Let's get Vanilla Ice on. Let's see how that works.
I thought you were gonna say, "Let's call Slug." We've tried. Yeah,
way different, guys.
Yeah, it's so much different.
I think you're referring to the best behind the music snippet of all time. Yes. No, this one goes dun 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 dun. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good one, man. I like it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, check it out if you haven't checked it out. I'm sure I can find a YouTube clip of it or something, because I don't even know if I still have the MP3, but I know it's in my. If you look in my iTunes library, it's still sitting there. So.
Wow.
Yep. After all these years.
Is it on your iPod Touch?
I never owned an iPod Touch. I owned an iPod Classic because I needed bigger. I need more space. I need too many songs.
Man, so if you have it on Apple iTunes from Pirate Bay, does that mean you can, in theory, sell it to Spotify for them to stream?
Ooh, no, probably not. Yeah, probably not.
You have the master copy.
I wonder if, I don't, my guess is I don't have the master copy. But, yeah, no, that's a fun one, and, worth checking out if you're a fan of Prince or a fan of Atmosphere, the Minnesota underground hip-hop collective of Slug and Ant.
I thought you were going to say another hip-hop, someone in the hip-hop world from Minnesota, and I was like, well, man, I'll be guesting here all night.
There's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, in that world, yeah.
Yeah, yep, some good and some bad, too. Yeah.
Good, bad, and the ugly.
Yep. But, it is what it is.
All right, am I closing us out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mariano Rivera in the 9th inning, closing us out, blown save. All right, so this one is from a band. We've actually had the frontman on this podcast. The band that they cover is a band that we all ride for. And here's where it gets interesting. The band that they're covering, it's their biggest song, commercial song, but I think it's their worst song from the 90s. The song that's being covered, it was a CYY song. Yeah, it was a CYY song. This is this a Nate hint here?
Yeah, no, I get no fucking clue. The one that I'm just thinking of frontmen like Vinny, Damien.
So this was on 2006's Punk Goes 90s compilation. And the irony, the band's not even a punk band.
Oh man.
You guys, I don't think you'll get it.
I got nothing. Yeah, go ahead.
The band is Bleeding Through, so it was Brandon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we weren't going to get there.
The band they covered is Hum, and the song is Stars. So I'm going to pause there. I think Stars
wait a second.
is probably their worst song.
Did you just throw that into a word salad blender and that is what came out?
Well, when Nate gave the prompt for this episode, unique and good, I think this satisfied both. It's definitely unique.
That's true. Yep.
But I was never like huge into Stars. Like I liked it, but I like the rest of the catalog much better.
I love that intro of that song though. That intro is amazing because it just it's very slow and then just boom, you feel like it feels like a live show song.
I didn't like it because of the connotation of what it went with our local radio station.
Yeah.
I think that was part of it too.
Yeah. At the time, I never really liked Hum, but now love Hum. So I've pulled a 180 on that band, and that band is fucking awesome. So I didn't realize they covered that.
I don't think many people did. It's on the Punkos 90s compilation, and you would think the cover would be heavier.
Yeah.
But it's really not. Like, if anything, the guitars are a little crunchier, but there's no synth, which would have been true to Bleeding Through. And they kind of honor it pretty close. It's a good cover. It's a solid cover. The reason why I chose it, which if we get Brandon back on, we can ask him, but like, I want to know the how and the why. Like, how did you guys choose this? Because it's a unique choice. And two, I think Fearless Records did those Punk Goes Pop and Punk Goes 90s. And Bleeding Through was on Trustkill. So I don't know if it was a label thing. I don't know. But I'd love to know that, the how and the why, as we always say. And Brandon does a good job vocally with this one.
I did not know about this. And it brings up a good point. Yeah. Was it a friend connection, or was it another one of those like, hey, we needed a cover of this song. Who's going to put out the best demo and get back to us? And, Bleeding Through. Is it even a punk band? I don't know. It's so fucking good. You guys made the cut.
Well, it's funny. I think you're probably onto something, because I feel like labels, they know each other. You know your competition, right? So they're probably making phone calls. Who forget the guy that owns Trustkill, Josh. He probably calls over to Josh. Hey, who you got? Can someone give us a cover, 90s cover? And this is probably how it ended up.
Yep, it was Fearless that put those out. You're right.
It was Fearless. Yeah. And there was some good stuff. There was some trash on some of those, like Punk Goes Crunk. Oh my God, that's the worst set of music I've ever heard. And I love a lot of the bands that are doing the covers, and I love the originals. And not working.
I'm excited to listen to this now because obviously having met Brandon and seen Bleeding Through live this summer at Tattoo the Earth, I'm curious as to how they did with this song.
Spoiler: there's no screaming.
Well,
wow.
I mean, makes sense. The song itself doesn't really have that, but you're right. How does that happen? How they're not a punk band? I'm so confused, but at the same time, it's very cool. And I mean, they probably were. Do you think they were given the song and they were like, "Hey,
I don't know.
Cover this," or they were like, "Hey, we're gonna do this compilation. What song would you guys like to do?" So it's interesting. Yeah, it's definitely interesting how those things come about.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason, right? I mean, like all the bands we've mentioned tonight, like when I was talking about System,
and
it's like, well, they were on Ozfest.
Is you.
It's you.
That's sort of exactly where my head was going. Hey, Doug Robb, check your DMs.
Yeah, check your DMs, bro. Sorry, dude. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I did. I mean,
no, I mean, where appropriate, I validated because my mind goes there anytime. I had to steer the reason. ... But yeah, I feel like there's got to be, something like, who knows? I mean, have you read in any kind of like liner notes, like his influences? Has that band ever been listed at all? Because that would be kind of like the direct correlation.
No, it's always the At the Gates and the Tragedies and things like that.
Yeah,
it's that world.
Yeah,
but I think Hum is universal.
I would agree. And it's funny. We were talking about the Queens of the Stone Age shirt that I wore at Tattoo the Earth, and how like people were like, "Yeah, cool shirt. I know that band." I think if I had been wearing a Hum shirt, the same thing, probably more so would have even happened, because people do.
I think you're right.
They're universally respected. Everybody loves Hum, and if you don't, you're like I did for a long time. You just didn't get it, and you were wrong. And then you listen to it, you're like, all right, I get it.
Yeah, that was me. That was me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's happening again, right? With bands like Turnstile, like you go into a crowd, you're like, oh, I know them, and you're at a fucking metal show.
Yeah, there's more crossover than ever before. I would agree with that. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Good pick. And I'm interested. I'm intrigued now.
All right, I'm going to give a bonus one. We won't talk about it at all. One of my alternates was the Story So Far's Waiting in Vain Bob Marley cover.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
I like Bob Marley. I have his collections, whatever. I don't know that I ever heard the original song, which is bizarre to me. But when that happens, when you hear the cover first, you almost tend to like the cover more. So I don't know. Go listen to that. I'm curious what you guys think.
We can't talk about it, so I'm not going to give you any thoughts.
Yeah, we can't talk about it.
No, closed lips here.
This is
Loose
it, guys.
lips,
This is what you come to Patio Slave for. No takes.
Well, I didn't want it to be a Nate's.
Oh, that could happen anyway. I mean, we'll have wrapped up, and Nate will have 7 more things to say. So we can do that here shortly. But no, I'll check that out. That sounds interesting, and you're right. I do think there's something too. If you hear the cover first, you might be more inclined to like the cover more than the original. And then that happens. Sometimes you don't. There are songs from like 70 years ago. You're like, how the fuck did that even? That was a thing at one point. It's been covered 6 times, and now we're here, and I like this like last cover. That's crazy too.
So Nate was texting me on the side, and he said he hates the George Michael Faith because he heard Limp Bizkit's Faith first.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, that didn't happen.
It could have LB or die. Yeah.
I love it. That's a good place to stop, I think. All right, call to action's coming at you here in a second. I'm not going to do it twice. But yeah, we love doing it. We'll be back next week. We are the Patio Slave Podcast, and we've got 136 more, and that's coming at you.
Yep. Don't undermine the cover. There's a lot out there, and we kind of just scratched the. This might be like a repeating segment in some sense.
You mean we could do covers again? I bet you're right, and I bet we could do.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about the one Swan mentioned, but I'm not allowed.
We're not
to,
allowed.
So.
You're not allowed.
Yeah, Nate, we really covered our bases tonight.
Oh boy, we made it to first base, boys. Good job. You both have kids, so you've made it past there. But yeah, nice job. Peace, potheads.
Full rotation. We've got you covered. Peace.
Cheers, nerds.
Thank you for listening to Patio Slave. We are at Patio Slave on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the places that you can find us on social media. Facebook, Patio Slave Podcast. YouTube, Patio Slave Podcast there. Email us at patioslavepodcast@gmail.com. And hey, if you want to become a supporter, click on the link at the bottom of the episode and give us $1, give us $5. It keeps the lights on, keeps us going. We really appreciate that stuff. Thank you.
Skee ball.